Welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure. This is the one where Flopsy gets it, or rather, Flopsy gets flogged on eBay. We'll also do a quick unboxing of the various unpainted Burrows and Badgers miniatures that I have.
You see, the thing is, I'd had this beautiful Burrows and Badgers hare from the first lot I ever bought from them online. It wasn't even from one of their Kickstarters. I picked it up from the site after seeing them, I think, at one of the shows. And I'd had fun painting it. As you can see here, I didn't do anything fancy, just a bit of chainmail.
And when I say chainmail, I mean that chainmail.
And then a few kind of weathering effects, the dabbing with foam, the fur I hadn't gone wild. You know, I just done a very light Astronamican grey mixed in with white coat, and then just dry brushed it with white, and then with a very light, the lightest white I have. Nothing particularly fancy. And then because I had these crazy flights of fancy.
You know, that kind of thing.
I thought, wouldn't it be funny, seeing as this is, you know, I mean, you can see, you get it, you know. If I took this old Cyborg Miniatures seasonal base that I'd had sitting in the bits box for about 20 years, with this little gobbo breaking out of the egg in some kind of clever little mixing of genres comment there. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I just merge these two ideas together, and then he is the Easter Bunny. But then, as the years went by, he never came out of the box, because I just kept thinking, you know, the mixing of genres annoys me. You know, there's no goblins in the world of Burrows and Badgers, in the world of Wind in the Willows and all that. And maybe it's time for him to go. And so I put him on eBay.
And it went. Now, part of me thought, was I a bad person for writing pro-painted? But things get described on eBay as pro-painted that are appallingly painted. And this isn't appallingly painted, and the buyer can form their own view from the pictures provided. The other thing that entertained me was, judging by the other things that the buyer had bought and the nature of the account, I got the feeling it might have been an elderly lady and not necessarily a wargamer. So I do really hope that they spotted the blood for the blood god on the sword and on the knuckle duster.
We've got another very similar miniature to paint, because even the sculptor, I think, wanted to have another go with the idea of this hare, and he made another one. I mean, that's a two-handed sword. So now we've got a very similar miniature, arguably a better one. Same height, same everything, got a bit of an eye patch, still a little flopsy ear, and I'll have fun painting him, albeit he looks like less of an adventurer and more of a kind of knight you'd see, you know, one of those statues on a tomb in some English cathedral. But he'll be fun. And generally speaking, it's not like I'm wanting, in Burrows and Badgers miniatures, to paint. I've bought into the last couple of Kickstarters and not quite got round to painting them. So there's a little toucan, isn't he gorgeous? A fox in heavy armor. I'm not very good with dogs. I don't know, whatever giant hound that is. That's a badger with a giant bow. Robin Hood meets underground scurrying. The Artful Dodger over there, collecting little bits of shiny metal. Little dog over there, a semi-blind little mole who burrows under the ground with his little shotgun, comes up and goes kaboom. I mean, he's only trying to look about 2 feet with that telescope. But, you know, not everyone has great vision. squirrel, some kind of bird of prey, falcon, I don't know. Porcupine with bow. Maybe the love interest for the hare. Is it cracked? Oh, well, that's what liquid green stuff is for. A highwayman fox. And Bob's your uncle.
And I do get to play games with these. This is one from the other Saturday night. I do feel like quite a bad person, though, because my mate and I have been waiting to play this since before lockdown, when we last played Burrows and Badgers, and I had a faction. We started off with new crews, and I chose the faction. I've forgotten all the names, but I chose the faction where they're basically kind of like Robin Hood, bandits in the forest types who have a den, a burrow, and their additional benefit per game, because it's kind of like Mordheim-like game, their benefit is they can have 2 people set up, I think, at least 8 inches away from the enemy after setup. And the problem is that you set up, I think, you do 1, they do 1, you do 1, they do 1, depending on the scenario. And so I positioned 2 of my archers in that Mordheim building over there, having seen that my opponent had set up their leader over there. And my 2 archers both had some kind of poisoned arrow, and one of them also had voice of command. So even though this is a game where one of your characters goes, one of their characters go, if your character has voice of command, they can basically go at the same time as one of their colleagues in the vicinity. And so obviously, by dint of luck, I got first go, and my 2 bowmen with their poisoned arrows both took a pot shot at the leader. There's something called balance points. You've basically got 10 goes at rolling additional dice to try and do whatever you need to do. And so I pumped an extra dice into each of those poisoned arrow shots. Both of them hit. It basically crippled the leader, and my opponent's game just went downhill from there. But I described it as cinematic. And to be fair, they then ran that beaver up the stairs to go and get the 2 dudes with bows and arrows, and he ran around. You can't see it, there's a staircase at the back. He ran up there and he smashed the living daylights into one of them, who didn't quite die and was about to die. But then I sent up the flopsy-eared wizardess, and she had some kind of Jedi mind push spell, which goes off quite easily. And so I pushed the otter, sorry. I pushed the otter, that's an otter. I pushed the otter out that window, and it spiked its bum on that tent pole, which caused 3 damage. It would have caused 6, but that otter has toughness 3, which means it's quite tough, and it deducted 3 damage from what I caused. And because it only took 3 damage for falling, it didn't suffer any damage from falling. But it was quite cinematic that he ran up the stairs, he smashed someone in who'd shot his boss with a poisoned arrow, and then got brain blasted through an open door on the first floor and got a spike up the tush. Oh, you can tell I'm a city kid. This is an otter. And that's a beaver. And so that's a beaver. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching to the end. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already in my onward journey towards 300 subscribers. And let's just take a moment to remember Flopsy. Have a good evening or day wherever you are.